Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to a new Comic Book Late Night Live. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and here's my wonderful co-host, The Curious Lo.
Hello.
Hello!
Week 5. We've been at this over a month.
Yeah, man, it's fantastic. We are going to be talking comics for the next hour or so, and if you haven't watched the show before, what we do is we count down our 3 favorite books from last week, and we tell you what we are most excited about coming up this week. Anytime, if you're watching live, hello, live viewers, anytime during the show, if you would like to, or anytime until we get to the middle of the show, if you'd like to guess one of the books that we might do anticipated, you can go ahead and do that, although we already have somebody that guessed one of mine, so I guess that's pointless this evening once again. You're going to have to be quick on the draw, folks, to do that in the beginning.
You can do it for street cred.
Street cred. See if you can guess things coming out next week that we might be excited about. We'll announce who got that, who nailed that a little bit later, but that person, of course, as always, is going to get a digital code for one of the Marvel books that I read. I'd give you a digital code for something else if other companies would do that. I'm really hoping that with Rebirth, DC will consider putting the digital codes in there. I think that's the other thing that would really put them over the top right now. If Rebirth is as awesome as it looks like it might be. Lo, I had a good number of books this week. In fact, I had so many books that there were a number of them that are of series that I'm not caught up on. So there are a few books that I didn't even read this week. But I've got like 10 that I did read and another 5 that I didn't. So it was a really big week for me as far as number of books. Although not a lot that's just like huge, major, earth-shattering developments or anything.
Yeah, I didn't feel like anything that I got was very, like, earth-shattering either. Just more, I didn't get... Oh, no, I got one number 1 this week, but everything else is just stuff I've been following.
I don't think I had any number 1s, but it's going to be an exciting show, nevertheless. Lo, you get to start for us first. What was your 3rd favorite comic book that you read from last week?
My 3rd favorite was A Year of Marvels, The Amazing, number 1. And this specific issue, it seems like it's going to be I think it's 6-issue comic that is going to take place like 2 months every time. And it's like just showing different Marvel heroes in kind of menial everyday things. So this specific issue had Spider-Man trying to go on a date, but of course he was thwarted and had to go save the city naturally. And Ant-Man was on spring break. That was his plot. So we were in February and we were in March. So Valentine's Day and then spring break were the 2 things that we were dealing with in this issue. It's, what's my favorite word? Say it with me. Extremely quirky. Yes. So, right up my alley. And I'm also
like Pee Wee Herman said, the word of the day is
quirky. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Again, I say this all the time. I'm so new to comics, so I'm always like looking for sort of like doorways into characters that I don't know a lot about. And granted, I have definitely been reading both of these characters. I don't remember exactly which characters they've even announced that are going to be in this, but I imagine there will be some that I don't really know about, as we have what appears to be 2 characters. And it looks like we're getting like Avengers and... who's this? She-Hulk and Wolverine, maybe next issue. So
Wolverine's dead right now. Is it Old Man Logan?
Or
one of those?
It's I don't know. I don't know if this is actually Wolverine. It's a girl.
Oh yeah. Currently, yeah. I think X-23 became the current Wolverine. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think the Avengers. I don't really know. There's like Howard the Duck. Looks like it
chasing after somebody.
Yeah. So those are the 2 plots that are coming next time. But I'm excited to kind of get to know some different people. Oh, and also I quite enjoy the author or writer of this. He's also the guy that does Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. So
of course,
right up my alley. So I already love his stuff. So
I love how you're so apologetic about what you like. You're like, look, folks, this is what I read. It's what you're gonna get. You watch this show, it's what you're gonna hear about.
It's true. I mean, like, I imagine that hopefully I'm bringing some stuff up that people haven't heard of.
Oh no, certainly you are. And
it's not all superheroes, even though this is definitely superheroes. But and actually, all 3 of mine are superheroes. But
Well, Well, and you read a lot of stuff that's not, because the quirky out there sensibility goes to, of course, a wide range of different kinds of comics. And fantasy also. I tend to do exactly the same thing with mainstream superhero. I'm like, sorry, folks, that I don't review more indie things.
Yeah.
I really like to, you and I are both really apologetic about the things we like. We don't have to be that way. It's all right. The reason I brought you on the show is because, well, besides the fact that you're one of the only ones of us right now that are reading weekly comics, is because you read other things that some of the rest of us don't.
Yeah. So never mind. I'm not sorry. This is what I like. Deal with it.
I very nearly bought that. That looked really interesting, and I might get it this coming week if there are still copies at my store. But like I said, I had a stupid stack of stuff. This week, so I was really surprised to see that. I was like, I nearly bought that book.
That was my number one, and it was sort of an impulse buy, but I had seen that it was coming out and sort of thought about it, and I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, all right, I'm taking it.
It's an interesting concept. I'm assuming there's not anything that's really tying the stories together.
No, they were both completely separate. They were split by that like Civil War II ad that's in every single comic right now. The big like fold out one.
You know what I don't understand about that conceptually though?
What?
Well, if I were, this is just me, but if I were gonna do a like calendar book like that, I would make it like a 12-issue maxi series and have January come out in January.
Yeah, it is a little weird. And also the next one isn't until like June. So I don't quite understand the release schedule. Let's see here. Yeah, on June 1st. So, I mean, I guess, oh wait, it's May. Oh my gosh, it's May. So I guess that is a month from now. Never mind. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, but it's like January, February, and the next one will be March and April. We'll still be behind. Like, eventually you'll catch up to it, but then
you'll
be doing months that are late. I don't understand that. I don't know what we're doing with that. That's really strange.
It didn't bother me that much, especially because they had 2 months in here. But yeah, it would have made more sense.
Is it an idea that they came up with too late in the year that we could save it or we could do it now?
Yeah.
My number 3, and I'm surprised that this, out of everything that I read this week, is actually making my top 3. But I think I'm picking this because I was surprised that I liked it so much more than I have been this book. And this book's been okay. Venom Space Knight, number 6. This is by Robbie Thompson. Oh, that's I hadn't put two together and thought that that's kind of interesting that Venom is Flash Thompson. This is written by a guy whose last name is Thompson, and art by Ariel Vetti. Really cool, interesting art in this book. I've talked about this some. I really like how much depth and texture there is in this art. It feels almost like a multimedia thing. It's not, but it feels like you can almost reach out and touch the texture. This is the end of the story arc, and we have kind of developed a team for Venom. He's got almost his own Guardians of the Galaxy team now, and these people that he can't really wholly trust, but they're starting to build this connection. And it's a weird, eclectic assortment of strange space aliens. There's this cute-looking panda bear character that is absolutely horrifying and loves killing people, and is the exact opposite of what you would think it is just looking at. You would love this book, Lo.
I was just gonna say, cute panda bears that are killing things.
Yeah,
gimme.
This is kind of something that you would like a lot. Venom Space Knight is an extension of Guardians, but it's starting to really go its own way. But so building its own supporting cast. By the time we get to the end of this, the idea is that Flash Thompson needs people and is surrounding himself with people, and that's kind of a big thing that he's learned going all the way from the beginning of the Remender run up to now, is that he's finally getting past his kind of loner thing, and he's trying to replace addiction with trusting other people. And we're finally making this a little bit more about the character study and about this guy. At first, this book seemed to be a little bit too jovial and jokey and fun for Flash Thompson, and now I'm starting to get more of a sense of why it was that way, and that he's really in a good place emotionally now. So I'm sure the others too will drop at some point, because this can sometimes be a disturbing book, and I'm expecting it to drop him back to his lowest place at some point, hopefully without regressing him. And at this point, I don't think that will happen. Or what we could end up doing is making this about Flash Thompson kind of having to almost rehabilitate Venom, because Flash is in this really good emotional place, but it's Venom, the symbiote, that is kind of unsure of himself and is falling, and it's described this way, as kind of falling off the wagon a little bit. We're actually paralleling the two characters that are in a symbiotic relationship, which I think is great. Flash Thompson has his alcohol addiction. Venom's addiction was killing people, and or at least violence, and he got away from that for a long time. And of course, naturally, these symbiotes are very peaceful creatures, but he's been bonded, especially with Eddie Brock. He's been bonded to people that that kind of get him to this addiction to violence, and something happens in this that kind of gets the Venom symbiote back to that, and he almost goes too far. And at the end, he says he's okay, but it's pretty clear that he's not. And I really like separating these two guys, but also in the symbiotic relationship, showing how they are very much the same and sort of in two different walks of life right now, but bonded to each other. And that's absolutely fantastic. So there's a lot to sink your teeth into all of a sudden with this book, and I imagine the next issue will be a good jumping on place. So if all that sounds interesting to you, I don't think that you would really necessarily have to read this first arc to understand what's going on moving forward. A little slow going, this arc, but I really liked this issue quite a bit. Lo, what is your number 2?
Okay, and I know we just talked about how we don't have to apologize for things, but I feel like the same book, I don't feel like the same book has been in my top every week since we started, but here we go. Number 2.
Well, it's not the same book. It's the same. It's the same event.
Crossover. Yes. Yeah. So we have Spider-Woman number. What number is this even? 6, which is Spider-Women number 4. Very confusing. So this time we got to follow our third person and find out what their own little adventure was, because each of the other 2 Spider-Women have had their fun times. And she got to find out that her doppelganger is a man, which is super fun, who's married and has 2 kids. And there were some awesome Kill Bill, like, kind of, I don't know, like homages in there with the 2 women fighting in the living room and the kids coming home from school and her being like, yeah, you can make whatever snack you want. Maybe that's just me because I love Kill Bill, but it reminded me of Kill Bill. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this yet again. I'm really enjoying this crossover event, and it's 3 characters that I all quite enjoy. So there you go. It was a slow week. I had to put Spider-Women in there. There was nothing else that I was going to put in my top 3.
If we're picking just strictly what the best things we were reading are this week, that's my 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing is really solid.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of fun with that interdimensional stuff and with the doppelgangers and stuff. I like this idea that they all have kind of evil twins, but they're not evil.
Yeah. It's interesting how they're doing the doppelgangers in, what is that, or 65. Mm-hmm. So I like what they're doing with that. I'm glad that they are home now, back on their own Earth, and I'm excited to see sort of like how that plot will start to come together, because I think we only have 3 more.
4. We're at the halfway point,
more?
and
yeah,
I think it's neat that they get back home exactly at the halfway point.
Yeah. So they were sort of like stuck out, and now it's at the point where they get to kind of start honing in on who did this to them, and we're climbing up the second half of that W. So
also, well done. Also, way more low key than I would have expected.
Yeah,
this as a big event thing. It's not slam bang action every issue. It's very talky, and it's a lot of really good intrigue and a lot of good, like you said, those suspense moments of I'm in a room. Who am I gonna meet?
Well, and I mean, I already mentioned the scene where the 2 moms are fighting, but like, man, that was like, I think it was well written. I was like, whoa, what is happening right now? Like, she just hit her over the head with like a can, I think it was. And like, they're like fighting. It was good. I liked it.
And all 3 of these writers are doing a good job of putting a whole bunch of words on a page, but not slowing down the momentum with that.
Yeah. It's overall really well done.
Good command of language, those books. My number 2. And I I probably have already done this once myself, but this is always one of my favorite books. So what are you going to do? Ninja Turtles number 57. We are doing more stuff with Leatherhead. Now, I do have to say, I'm going to open this with a complaint, which is the cliffhanger, the reveal at the end of this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I think it's really well handled, but I totally called it and couldn't decide if that was a problem or not. And I won't say any more than that. The reason I'm putting this on my list this week is, well, atmosphere is a lot of it. Both the stuff in the sewer. We're kind of in a I don't know. Are we in like a sewer of the Technodrome? Is that even a thing? It's sure what it feels like. But it's just a super creepy atmosphere, and we're dealing with the Utroms, who are, like we always do in this book, a lot more complex and interesting than you would expect them. They're not just two-dimensional bad guys, and neither is Krang's old right-hand man, Trag, who comes back in this and is desperate and dying and needs breathing masks to breathe because there's hardly any air where they are. And all he is trying to do is get a breathing mask from the turtles so that he can survive. That's it. And Trag is usually just the, right-hand man of Krang, just go kill people because my boss told me to. Even that guy getting more sympathetic and getting more character dimension than I ever would have expected. What's going on with the Utroms, and this is really sad. And they come out of stasis, and one of their fellow Utroms has died, and I should be laughing at them because they're these silly brain-looking things, but they're in a pickle, and things are not going well for them, and their leadership is gone, and they need to try to find Krang, and they don't seem like bad guys. They probably are bad guys, but they don't seem like bad guys, and so I really care about them, and I like that a lot. We're not in a big, giant, major, important story right now, but this book does downtime so well, and I don't know. Like I said, mostly atmosphere with that one. What's your number one this week?
My number one is, again, one that I have definitely chosen before, but this issue was fantastic. Squirrel Girl, what number are we on? I don't even know. 7. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl number 7, which is my second Ryan North book on just this episode so far. This was a choose your own adventure.
What?
Yeah,
what?
It was great. And granted, it wasn't as complicated as they could get, but there's just some really great jokes where you can like kill Squirrel Girl or have Swarm take over the world, or like at one point it had the return of Koi Boy, who is just great, and I love him, and I was happy to see him back. There was an option where you could just have him ignore his text. What does it say? Ignore phone, ignore text, and never check voicemail. And the option, and like that end was like a New York Bulletin front page, Swarm takes over the world, and like, just like all these different great little funny endings. And just in classic Squirrel Girl fashion, of course, she saves the day. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of little one-offs in Squirrel Girl. Pretty much any issue you can just pick up like off the shelf and read it and be totally fine. And they also have these great little previously on Squirrel Girl Twitter catch-ups.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how easy it is to read that, but they kind of tell you what's been happening. And this was also bookended by Galactus telling you that you were about to do a choose your own adventure and you needed to make the right choices, otherwise he would eat Earth. So that was fun.
That book is so creative with layouts and presentation and stuff. It's not the first time it's done a thing like that, but that is wild. I've never seen a comic do choose your own adventure. Who else wants like a 200-page graphic novel that's choosing your own adventure? Like, it'd be really cool to have like an actual dramatic story that's that way.
For the most part, it was a lot of like, choose this or choose this, and then they would sort of like split for a second and either come back to each other, or like one of them was the wrong choice and they would be like, okay, that choice didn't work, now try this one, and it would like bring you back to the main timeline. But there was a couple where the two plots sort of changed how the outcome happened, and there was one time where they had 4 different plots going on the same panel. It was this page. where like just
That's
everything
awesome.
was different. Like for one of the plot lines, it was just this little thing. Like it came on from there and then it just went on to the next page because there wasn't room to do anything else with it. So
that is remarkably innovative.
it was really
because I
fun.
expected it to be like a Choose Your Own Adventure book where it's like turn to this page, turn to this page. They're doing it in panels. That's fantastic.
And very linearly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that word correctly as well, which was, I think, kind of hinders it because, like I said, it was a lot of like splitting and then coming back to the main timeline. There weren't things that like, if you made this choice at the beginning, it completely changed the entire outcome.
Red Letter Antilles in the comments here says that Arkham Origins had a graphic novel that did that, and
Cool.
that did Choose Your Own Adventures. That's crazy. I didn't know that. And I thought I had all the Arkham stuff, but maybe there was an Origins thing I didn't get. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I ever bought anything in Origins. Okay, I gotta go find that. Wow,
Nice.
that's crazy.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I always love Squirrel Girl, and I think it's super fun. And if you out there watching live or after the fact like quirky stuff like I do, go pick up Squirrel Girl today. This is Carrie Slow saying support your local comic book stores.
Lo, I still have to do my number one, and we have more things to do. We're not.
I know.
We're not done.
I know.
Lo hasn't even been on a GNN yet, and she knows what to do with that. But Lo is going to be on a GNN next week, so look forward to that. My number one is Dark Knight: The Master Race, book 4. I didn't put this on my anticipated list last week because I have been somewhat unsure about this book and not remembering it month to month. This is the issue that is probably changing that. I'm not going to say a whole lot about this. This with this issue feels like it has the potential to be incredibly poignant and fantastic, and it's I don't know, I have no idea where it's going. It's doing a really good job of subverting expectations and of being hard to call. These books are always are they always $6? $5-6? This one is, and they come with a comic in the middle that is a little mini comic about some other character in this continuity. And I haven't read any of those yet, but you do get some bang for your buck. This one is about Batgirl and is completely without words. So, I mean, I guess I could have read it. I could have taken the 5 seconds it would have taken to flip through that, but I didn't. I just thought of that anyway. But absolute terrifying premise here. We've got, and this is turned into a Batman Superman thing, just like the Dark Knight Returns was, with a lot of stuff dealing with the Justice League, and it's not silly and weird and out there and hard to take seriously like the second Dark Knight book was. This is kind of getting that right and sort of what you might have wanted from that so far, I think, where the Kryptonians, I think the idea is that they came out of the Bottle City of Kandor. And again, it's been a while since I read the third issue, but their leader talks about having been bottled and not brought back out by Kal-El. And they're on a mission to take over and to kill Superman. And the idea is that Superman has been masquerading as the last son of Krypton, but he knew the whole time that there were Kryptonians, and so he's been playing God while he from their perspective, should have been being true to his origins and to his real family, his real people, and they want revenge on him for that. And that is a really interesting take on that whole thing. I really love it in comics where we'll go to something that would have horrifying implications if you really thought about it. The idea that Superman would act like he's the last of a race when he really isn't, and then play himself as a human because he was brought up by humans, kind of ignoring his people, even though he wasn't raised by them, he still maybe has a responsibility to them. There's a really interesting case there, and I really like that. And he and Batman are both played by the Kryptonians as these kind of false gods. Anyway, it's fascinating and it's mortifying, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I'm not going to say anything else about it right now, other than also to say that the art is spectacular, and I can't wait to sit down and read all this together, because I think I might have a really it might have a really profound impact on me once I have it all in front of me. There's a part of me that doesn't even want to read any more of this until I have it all together, because I keep feeling weird talking about it, not remembering as much about what came before it, because I don't know if this book has been late or if it's just me and it's not staying with me for some reason. I don't know why. This was spectacular. Anyway. Okay.
I bought the first issue of that, but then I decided against continuing it, not because I didn't like the first issue, but more because I haven't read the other 2 Dark Knight books. So I was sort of like, well, I should probably go back and do those, especially because they're like considered classics of the genre. I need to do my homework.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I want to. I'll get there.
But you should. It's good. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to cover of the week. And are you impressed? I remember that. Cover of the week.
I know. Good job.
Whoa, what was your favorite cover for this week?
My cover this week was Doctor Strange.
Whoa!
I quite liked it. And if you remember from, I think, 2 weeks ago, my favorite cover of the week was Black Road, which looks a lot like this cover. And I don't know what it is about the, like, almost no color, and it's just a guy's face with the title. I don't know why I like that, but I do, because this cover I also quite enjoyed. And I did really like this book. It's just not like up my alley. If it weren't for the Year of Marvels, this probably would have been my number 3. But it's something that I enjoy and I think is good, but I'm going to go for the quirky every day. But I really, really like the art style in this, and the cover reflects that as well.
Yeah, I need to get back to that book. The first issue was incredible.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's just not quirky enough for me. See?
Oh, Lo. You know that should have been in your top 3. I haven't read it. I'm kidding. My cover of the week is a book that continues to put out fantastic covers and ends up not being nearly as good in the interiors, although this issue is definitely the best issue so far of this, and I'm more intrigued moving forward and glad that I finally kind of liked one of these. This is Carnage number 7 with King Carnage sitting on a basically he's sitting on something like the throne that Spawn has in his alley, except that it's made of his symbiote. So he's creating his own throne and has a crown sitting just above his head with the rest of his symbiote. I think that's wonderfully creepy and twisted and insane, and I wish the book was a little bit more reflective of how just absolutely mortifying. I take one look at this cover and feel like I should open it up and want to close it right away. It should be that kind of book, and it's not. But that's a horrific looking cover, and I love that.
That's usually my alley. I'm like, yes, violence.
Well, but it's what Carnage should be. I probably talked about this before. I read a one shot in the 90s that is bad stuff crazy, and I have no idea what's going on in it, and that's the point, where you actually get inside Carnage's mind. It's called Carnage, It's a Wonderful Life, and it's this stream of consciousness, like absolute insane, horrific thing where you're basically going through the bowels of Carnage's mind, and it's disturbing and twisted and just plain wrong. And for some reason, I've been wanting to have that experience with the Carnage thing ever since I read that. It should be like a horror movie that you can't stop seeing. That whenever you close your eyes, it's there. And I haven't had that yet with this book. And it's not quite what this book is trying to do, but the covers keep making me think it is. So that's the thing. All right, so now we're gonna find out who got the code for this week, and that was Red Letter Antilles. He guessed one of the books on my list for anticipated things for this week, and I am going to give you Red Letter Antilles. Red Letter Antilles. What should
Red Leader.
Did I say letter? I keep saying because Red Letter Media. Red Leader Antilles. I've
done that so many times when I've said that screen name before, so I think he might be used to it, but I've definitely done that too.
I'm gonna give you Carnage because this is the beginning of a story arc, and I'd love to know what you think of this because it was better than it has been. I'm gonna give you this. If there's some other Marvel book that I talk about this week that you'd rather have a code for, let me know. But otherwise, I'm gonna send you Carnage. Okay, Lo, let's find out. I'm sorry. We gotta talk about other books for this week. What the heck am I talking about? I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay, well, he got that, and now we're gonna go on and talk about other books that we read this week. I guess I will start because you started the other bit. Okay, I'll go quick because I have quite a few. Daredevil number 6. Lo, what did you think of Daredevil number 6?
I did not get a chance to read it, but I have it. And it's
did you
right
get
here.
it? Okay, yep. But you haven't read it yet.
I have not.
So I'm seeing people in the comments who aren't liking Soul on Daredevil said 10 Fingers never went anywhere. I need to sit down and read that arc together and see if I have that experience with it. I have liked it all the way through. Maybe I have no standards and I'm a crazy person. I got to sit down and look at it again. That's been a problem before. But I'm still really loving this book. Elektra shows up and there's kind of this mystery as to why she's immediately attacking Daredevil. And the thing I really enjoyed about this is the idea that we haven't retconned Daredevil's identity not being outed anymore. It's that we did that Spider-Man One More Day thing of everybody has forgotten it because of magic, basically. And so we have this problematic kind of paradox where Elektra remembers dating Daredevil and Matt Murdock simultaneously. And because, of course, at that time, she knew that they were the same person. She has always known they were the same person, as far as I'm aware. And so he has this great line where he says, I accidentally turned her into a cheater. And it's kind of interesting how it's informing her identity, and he makes her really scary and unpredictable. And once again, just the atmosphere of this thing, I'm still really enjoying it. See where it goes, but I like that a lot. And wish he'd do more courtroom drama, but that stuff's really good. Batman 51. This is Snyder Capullo. I think this is supposed to be okay. So somebody last week said this is the last Snyder Capullo thing. Is Batman 52 not going to be Snyder? I haven't looked this up. I don't know what's going on. If anybody knows, put that in the comments. But somebody last week was like, that's going to be the last thing that they did. And I'm like, oh, weird. I mean, it might be Capullo's last thing. I don't know. But it's exactly what I was talking about last week, where it's this quiet night in Gotham, and there's a blackout, and it looks like it might be this really, really horrible scenario. And then it ends up not being horrifying at all. Spoiler alert, that's how it ends. And it's okay. It was fun. It was fun to see these guys do a one and done thing. Nothing spectacular. Not a big great send off for them together, I don't think. But as always, Capullo's art is fantastic. And then what else? Give me a second, because I mixed some books up that don't go together. Old Man Logan number 5. Logan goes back to Weapon X and is looking for someone who is involved in his life in the future. That's all I'll say, but it's wonderful as it has been. Logan now knows that he's probably not in the past of the world that he comes from, and is kind of having to cope with that, but still finding that the same things that always mattered to him still mattered to him. Obi-Wan and Anakin number 4. Once again, the politics in this are absolutely fantastic. I'm starting to really buy this relationship with Palpatine and Anakin, and why Palpatine is doing a good job of making Anakin think that he's not behind all the corruption and stuff that's going on. He's making a really good case for it, and he's wonderfully duplicitous. All of the the politics there, and then also the politics with the war that's going on the world that has with the people that have kidnapped Anakin, who we thought were befriending him, and they're kind of scary. There's no good. There's no good guy or bad guy in that fight. They're both messed up and kind of obsessed with war now. And anyway, that's all great. And once again, will be really interesting to look at all together and review down the road. The X-Files number 1. I don't know if I'm going to stay with this. It's okay. It's kind of more the same of what season 10 and 11 were, but it's not in that continuity. It's weird because 10 and 11 were we thought in regular X-Files continuity, but then X-Files came back and made another 6-episode season. So those things kind of don't matter anymore. So this is telling stories that are set in between those episodes. And this is the first part of the story arc, as opposed to just being a one and done thing, and is part of the conspiracy. And I'm not going to get into it. It's really well written. It's the same guy that's been doing this series. I liked it a lot. I like it for all the reasons I've liked this series, but I'm starting to lose interest a little bit. I think just because all the stuff that I read doesn't count anymore, so I don't love that. But I do like the idea that other, I almost said missions, but that other assignments happen in between. I do like the idea of Mulder and Scully going to a place and not understanding why it's supposed to be an X-File, and then it turns out that, I mean, it certainly is, but that they were actually lured there in the first place, so that's really cool. Lo already talked about Spider-Woman number 6. It's just wonderful. Ghostbusters International number 4. This is the best Ghostbusters issue I've read in a long time. Playing with the business, with the ins and outs of Ghostbusters as a public service, is a lot of fun and interesting, and that's what's great about it. And some of the best Venkman quips in quite a while in that book. Those are all the books I wanted to talk about. Like I said, about some other things that I haven't had a chance to read yet because I got to catch up on some stuff, but those are my extra books. And now Lo will spend a fraction of the time talking about hers, I'm sure, because she didn't read nearly as many.
Teeny tiny week for me this week.
Yeah.
So I had Daredevil, which, as already stated, I have not read yet. I had The Amazing Spider-Man, which continues to be an extremely just kind of meh book for me. I don't hate it or anything. I feel like I read it because I'm reading almost everything else in the Spider-Verse right now, and it's kind of like I have to be reading the main Spider-Man book, right? Like I can't just be reading everything else and not Spider-Man. So yeah, that was that. And then also Miss Marvel, which is hit and miss for me. I enjoy it. This issue was a little bit more miss for me, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a couple more issues before I make a decision on that one. But yeah, that was all that I had this week. Teeny week for me comparatively, because this coming week is crazy. It's quite large.
Yeah, it was funny because I have kind of a normal assortment this week. It's like 7 or 8, I think.
What did I say before we started? I think I'm 12 this week.
Yeah.
It might be more than that.
I don't know. I feel 12 a lot. Lo?
I do not.
I mean, like 12 years old. Lo, what is your first anticipated book for things that you're excited to see coming this week?
Me, it's number 3 is Moon Knight number 2. I really dig the first issue of that.
The way you said that was hilarious.
So, I don't know. Moon Knight number 2, I really like the first issue. I like the whole, like, being stuck in a mental asylum and, like, the crazy, like, vision that he had when he came out, and it was, like, pyramids, but we don't think that actually happened, and that was just in his mind, and it's like, ooh, I like it. It's all very mystical. So, yeah. I'm excited for it.
That's on my list as well. That's my number 2. Gwenpool number 0 is my number 3, which I was surprised Lo didn't put on her list. That's on mine. Well, at least she told me she didn't earlier.
I did not.
All of her list. Gwenpool number 0 is on mine just because I'm really interested to see how the origin thing is tackled. You're dealing with a character that came out of the real world, so how do you depict that in comics? I don't know. That sounds like a fascinating thing to try to deal with, that whole meta element of it. So it'll be interesting to see if the whole thing is played as wild and silly and out there, or if it is a little bit more sober at first and then gets there, because I mean, that might just be her, wild and fancy-free personality in the first place, but she's got to get into the Marvel Universe before she can be like, oh, cool, I'm in, like, cartoon, silly panel land. I can do anything I want to. And then we discover, of course, that that's not really the case. It's in that first issue.
I love silly cartoon land.
Silly cartoon land, yeah. So, and as I said, Moon Knight number 2 is my number 2. What is your number 2, Lo?
My number 2 is Rat Queens number 16, which as of a week ago, I had not read a single issue of, but then I bought the trades, and now I really like it. People have been telling me since, like, before this show started, like, just as soon as I mentioned that I had started comics recently, people were like, Rat Queens, because it's, like, fantasy, and it's girls being awesome, and I really like it, and I'm excited for number 16, so... yeah.
My number 1, surprisingly, and I don't know that this is a book I'll stay on, but I want to read the first issue because I think the premise sounds interesting. There is a new Punisher number 1 coming out this week. And it's by a first-time writer named Becky Blunin, with art by Steve Dillon, and I usually like his art. It's about a female DEA agent who is following the Punisher and trying to get in his head. And the big reason I put this on my list is because the only Punisher thing I've read that I absolutely fell in love with was the second Punisher Max by Jason Aaron. And that is very much about other characters around the Punisher before it's about the Punisher himself, or at least getting in his head. And I like the way he characterizes the Punisher in that, but it's all the peripheral characters that are really interesting and in how he affects them. This is going to be another one of those things, and I think having a normal person that's trying to get in the mind of the Punisher. I love stories like that, where you get in the mind of an extreme personality or a sociopath or a nutcase, and you try not to be changed by them while you also try to understand them. Those are some of my favorite kinds of stories. So I got to try it out because of that, even though I generally don't read the Punisher. So,
well, my number one is the Punisher, number one.
Oh wow, really? Okay, I'm surprised by that.
Partly because I loved him in the Netflix series, so I'm excited to I'm just excited to see some more about this character that I didn't really know I loved, and now I really like. So that's exciting. It's also written by Becky Cloonan, who also does Gotham Academy, which is like one of my favorite books.
Oh, okay. I read that she hadn't written anything yet. That's weird.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that's who that was. Yeah. Weird. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm quite excited for that.
Okay, well, Comixology made that up. They were like first-time writer. I'm like, wait, first time in Marvel.
Maybe first time. Yeah, it could be first time Marvel or first time with Punisher. Who knows? But
that's not what it said.
She has a great sense of humor, which is weird because I don't know how that will fit into Punisher, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lateral move.
I know. She's writing a very kind of me book, with the quirky kids and the school being in danger and being sassy and all that. So going to Punisher is just a totally different book. At least, again, who knows how this book will be. I haven't read it yet, but it's an interesting choice for sure.
I don't know why. Every now and again when a new Punisher book comes out, I'll try the first issue or two because that's there's so many different takes on that character, and usually people don't get them right. So I'm always interested to see if I can land on the one that's amazing. And even Greg Rucka's run a couple years ago, people didn't really care for. I thought the first couple issues that were pretty good, but I didn't keep on it because I'm not a Punisher guy. So that will probably happen with this too, but I guess we'll see. Well, what we're going to do now is for the next 10 minutes or so, Lo and I will answer any questions about other books that we didn't talk about that you guys might want to hear us elaborate on, or things that you might want to suggest to us to read, or other things in comicdom, superheroes, that sort of thing that you'd like to hear us discuss. Questions, comments you want us to read out loud, anything is game here as far as comics and superheroes, that kind of stuff goes. So Lo, right now my big thing is I'm just kind of holding out for Rebirth. I'm reading a lot of really cool stuff, but I kind of can't wait for that to get started.
Well, and we were talking about this before we went live, but I'm sort of hovering around. I read a lot of Marvel right now, and it's mostly just because I'm coming at this from the perspective of I've seen a lot of superhero movies. And as far as superhero movies go, at least from my point of view and what I've seen a lot of Marvel characters, and I've seen Batman and Superman. That is what I'm familiar with. So I'm reading all of these Marvel books and 2 DC books. So I'm trying to kind of weed out some of the Marvel books that I'm not as keen on and replace those with some DC books. So I sort of balance out my pull a little bit because I don't want to just be reading just Marvel. I do want to get more well-rounded. It's just as somebody who's newer, I'm sort of okay, that was the comfortable place for me to start, I guess, because I was already familiar with a lot of the characters. But I'm excited for Rebirth. I think that'll be a good kind of jumping in point for me. I'm definitely going to pick up Wonder Woman. I'm still sort of hashing out. I want to get probably 2 or 3 beyond that. And I'm not sure which books I'll go for yet, but we'll see.
Divid22 wants to know, Captain Logan, what is a Kansas accent? Also, will Legends of Tomorrow be Legends Tomorrow someday? Well, you see, a Kansas accent, importantly, is not a really, really Southern accent, as a lot of movies and things like to depict it as. I know because I'm originally from Central Arkansas, and at one point did have, believe it or not, a bit of a drawl. And I think what you're hearing now is sort of a Kansas accent, although people tell me that they can't place me all the time, so it maybe not really. I have, I guess, a radio accent, and then it's definitely not what you hear in Smallville, which is a Canadian accent for many of those people.
I've watched hardly any Smallville, but I imagine it is probably similar to, there's this fantasy show called Legend of the Seeker that was filmed in New Zealand, and for whatever reason, they decided that everybody needed to have an American accent, even though it's like the genre standard to do British, or like that would have been so simple. And there are quite a few characters in that show that I'm like, oh, hun, your accent is awful. Like, it's just so bad because they're just trying to do these American accents. Why?
Yeah, so many of these things, because it's cheaper to shoot there with TV shows, especially in the CW, are shot in Vancouver, and so of course you have a lot of Canadian accents, and you've got all these people saying sorry, and it doesn't work. And directors should be like, no, that you can't talk like that. I mean, that's hilarious. What else? Fivekeeper Sevenfold says that you should read Suicide Squad. Hello.
I'm really interested in that movie, and I mean, like, I hate for that to be the only reason that I get interested in comics, but for me, that's been my entry point for pretty much everything that I'm reading. So I might pick up Suicide Squad. It's definitely one of the ones I've been thinking about.
Mass Sci-Fi fan. Hey guys, do you have any plans for May the 4th? May the 4th? What?
May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about that. Okay, I guess I've heard of that. That's a thing, but I'm just like, well, that's like tomorrow, right? Like what?
I have a bunch of stuff happening at Disney that day, and I'm really thinking because I work that night, so I might go in early just so I can, because they have like exclusive products that they'll be selling just on May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th, like exclusive product lines. So I'm probably going to see what they're selling, or at least, I don't know, get some Star Wars food, because there's a lot of that in Disneyland. Celebrate my Star Wars best.
Why can't more of my favorite properties have days of the year that rhyme with them? Like, how is that a thing? And like,
did you
order
hear
too.
Oh yeah, Revenge of the 5th. I love it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, it's awesome. Like, I'm not dogging on people for doing that's hilarious. You know, I would capitalize on that too. But you know, there's you can't do anything with Search for Spock. Like, you know, can't do anything with Wrath of Khan.
Saturday? No? Okay, I tried.
But yeah, no, it's not gonna work. Anyway. What else?
Somebody mentioned that I watched Legend of the Seeker, and they said they liked it for a while. Yeah, it went a little downhill at the end. I'm really sad it got canceled though. I thought it was a great show.
Mass Sci-Fi fan wants to know what my plans are for Civil War 2. I'm gonna try it. I'll probably get the whole thing. It's not. It's weird that that's happening. On the other hand, we just did, and I'm sure it's going to be a very, very different thing. We just did a live review of the original Civil War a couple weeks ago. It's just not good, and it would be really easy to make a better version or better thing out of that, or a better sequel to it. At the same time, it's weird to have a sequel to that, and seems obviously pretty cash-in-y with the Civil War movie. But I tend to review all the events, so I have reviewed really bad events in the last couple of years, so I will probably be buying all of that. That's my plan. Oh yes. Okay. So people are asking about trade pay or Red Letter Antilles specifically. I keep doing that.
I've done it a million times before.
Wants to know if there are any trade paperbacks trades that we're excited about. And I haven't been keeping up real hard with stuff coming out, but I keep seeing things that will pop up at the comic store, like, oh, they're finally collecting that. And he mentioned the Elseworlds collections. Yeah, that just started, and those look fantastic. And I'm a big fan of Elseworlds. I would love to read more of the stuff I haven't seen, because there's a bunch of it, and there's a lot of it that I've never read. Well, on the other hand, that's all one and done stuff, pretty much, and so I'd much rather have the originals, because I'm a big single issue guy, and I like having the first editions of things. So I don't know if I'll get those trades, but they look really good, and they're super thick.
I don't really do anything as far as like specifically reading stuff in trades. For the most part, these are all the trades that I own. For the most part, they've just been either because I haven't read the thing before and I want to catch up and then go into singles. I'm too impatient. Like, if I have something that I like, I want to continue to read it. The one exception to that is The Walking Dead. And it's partly just because when I started in on it, they were already like at like issue like 105. And so yeah, I don't know why that one is the one that I haven't like caught up and am now doing single issue, but I just read it in trades. Who knows?
The stuff I prefer in trades these days is like stuff that I think almost could have been graphic novels and not put out in singles in the first place. Like especially a lot of these Image minis where you'll 4, 6, 8 issues. If I didn't get on the bandwagon initially, I'd rather get those in trade, generally speaking. But as far as ongoing stuff and one shots and things, I'd much rather have the singles. On the other hand, those trades for the Elseworlds are neat because I kind of like the idea of going from one standalone, out of continuity, crazy Elseworld story to another one, and I'd love to see the order they put them in and if there's any logic to it, or if they're just putting them in the order they came out in. That's probably what they're doing. But I haven't looked into that at all. That is going to be it for us tonight, folks. Thanks very much for watching. We sure appreciate it. And Lo and I will see you again next week for week 6 on Monday night at probably 2 in the morning. We did this last week. We were like, it's probably 2 in the morning. But then it turned out that
trying to be able to switch my shifts, and it's never like a guarantee that I'm going to be able to switch it for an early one. I do have something in the works that will get it an hour earlier. So we'll see. That hasn't gone through yet, so don't get into it. So as of now, 2 a.m. for you, midnight for me, but we'll see what happens. Funny because initially we announced this as it's going to be 2 a.m. for a while. It's never been 2 a.m. We've done it 5 weeks in a row. It's been midnight every time. We have been completely consistent and keep announcing that we won't be. It's fantastic. This is always the opposite of what usually happens, where I announce a thing and then at the 11th hour I'm like, sorry folks, it's different, and then I get a reputation for changing everything at the last minute. It's been like wonderful timing, but we keep changing it to the right time. It's because if Lo gets to a place where she doesn't have to ever go late, midnight is the time we'd like to do this show. We're not going to do it any earlier than midnight. It's late night. We like it to be a midnight show. Yeah. So that's the plan if we're able to keep doing it that way. Yeah, so hopefully, again, the horizon is near that my seniority will be up enough that I'll be able to get those early shifts. But as of right now, next week is a late night.
Well, folks, I want to say thanks a lot for being here live if you watched live, and thanks everybody else for tuning in. We're having a great time doing the show, and we've had a wonderful reception and reaction to it. So we will continue chugging along every week for you, Monday night, at some time at midnight or afterwards. And thanks again, folks. We sure appreciate you being here. Captain Logan.
I'm Curious Slow.
Saying good night. Good night.
Night. Good night.